Yesterday we talked about solving one-step equation or inequalities. Today it's going to be two steps. So they're going to just be a little bit more difficult of problems. So the one thing we need to remember is that whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number, you must flip the inequality symbol. Okay? So if you can remember back to solving, we had a couple things we had to do. The first thing you do is you get the number that's not attached to the x away. So here we have a plus 6, so we would have to subtract 6 to both sides. So we have 2x is less than 2 minus 6, which is negative 4. Okay? Again, this is just subtraction, not one of these, so you do not get to flip the symbol. The next thing you do is you look to see if you can multiply or divide. So since you have 2 times x, you would then divide by 2. So 2 would cancel, and you have x is less than negative 2. X is on the left-hand side. We have x, or 0, sorry, and then we have negative 2. Since it's just less than, it's open, and our graph would be going to the left because the arrow is pointing to the left. In problem number 2, we have negative 4 is less than or equal to negative 3x plus 5. We add or subtract first by subtracting 5. So you have negative 4 minus 5, which is negative 9. Remember, it's plus a negative, so you add them together, is less than or equal to negative 3x. The next step you look to do is to see if you can multiply or divide here. So since we have multiplication, we would divide by negative 3. And those are the magic words. Divide by a negative. Okay? So negative 9 divided by negative 3 is a positive 3, but now it's greater than or equal to because we must flip that symbol. But again, think back to yesterday. There was a couple problems where x isn't on the left-hand side, so we have to take this whole thing and flip it. So we would say x is less than or equal to 3. So here's 0 and 3, and so since it's equal to, we would have a closed circle pointing to the left. In problem number 3, we have 2/3 s plus 6 is less than or equal to 2. We would subtract 6 from both sides. So you have 2/3 s is less than or equal to, again, it's just subtraction, not one of our specials, 2 minus 6, which gives you negative 4. Think back also to yesterday where we had a fraction. So to get rid of the fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. So these cancel. You're left with s is less than or equal to negative 4 times 3. You multiply the numerator, which is negative 12. And then you multiply the denominator. 1 times 2 is 2. So negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. So here's 0. Here's negative 6. It's a closed circle pointing to the left, equal to going to the left. So if you're looking like, oh, this is just like solving, you are correct. It's very much just like solving. So again, first thing to do is add or subtract the number that's not next to the x attached to it. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. So here we have negative 8 is greater than or equal to 4x. And again, it's subtraction. It's not one of those specialties. And then we would multiply or divide. In this case, we're going to divide by 4. So you have negative 2, because negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2, is greater than or equal to x. But you do not have anything, or your x is on the right-hand side, so we're going to have to flip the whole problem. There's 0. There's negative 2. Since it's equal to, we have a closed circle pointing to the left. Problem number 5, let's get rid of that 7. So we're add 7, So you have negative z is greater than negative 8 plus 7, which is negative 1. And if you remember, there's this 1 right outside of that, in between the negative and the z. So you have negative 1 times z, so we would have to divide by a negative. There's those magic words again. So since we divided by a negative, our symbol must flip. So since it was greater than, it's now less than, and negative 1 divided by negative 1 is 1. So there's 0, there's 1. It's an open circle because it's not equal to, and again, it's to the left. In problem number 6, we would have to subtract 3. And then you have p divided by negative 2 is greater than or equal to 1 minus 3, which is negative 2. To get p alone, we would have to multiply by a negative 2. So again, you said the magic words, multiply by a negative. These will cancel. So you have p is not greater than or equal to because we multiplied by that negative number, but less than or equal to a positive 4. So here's 0, here's 4, closed circle to the left. And again, that's all I have for you. These all just happen to go to the left. Remember, they can go to the right. Just so happens that all of them point to the left. So try your in-class practice, get that checked, and good luck.